All right, well, welcome to the struggle of being Christian. And today I'm going to be reading a verse that I've been reading on repeat, and it's not intentional. And a lot of times I feel like God doesn't want us to read a verse once, because sometimes we'll read it and we'll be like, oh, okay, that's what they did back in that day. But when you keep reading it over and over, you're going to get a different message every single time. And you're going to notice that clearly God keeps leading you to this one spot because he wants you to pay attention to it. And this started happening to me a couple of years back. And I'm saying this now because I've come back to this exact scripture over and over with, I believe it was the prophet Elisha. But I realized that God is always pulling something different out of that story in the very time that you're in. So if you ever open a Bible verse and you tell yourself, oh, I've read this before, I don't want to read this again, but you keep opening up to the same spot, maybe there's something that you're missing. Maybe you think you know it, but you don't. It's something you need to pay attention to. And yeah, so let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, so I'm going to be reading 2 Kings 6, the floating axe head. One day, the group of prophets came to Elisha and told him, as you can see, this place where we meet with you is too small. Let's go down to the Jordan River where there are plenty of logs. There we can build a new place for us to meet. All right, he told them, go ahead. Please come with us, someone suggested. I will, he said. So he went with them. When they arrived at the Jordan, they began cutting down trees. But as one of them was cutting a tree, his axe head fell into the river. Oh, sir, he cried. It was a borrowed axe. Where did it fall? The man of God asked. When he showed him the place, Elisha cut a stick and threw it into the water at that spot. Then the axe head floated to the surface. Grab it, Elisha said. And the man reached out and grabbed it. I don't think I've looked at it this way before. I'm going to share my thoughts and what I'm feeling right now when I'm reading this. We'll start from the beginning when it says, one of the prophets is telling Elisha, as you can see, this place where we meet with you is too small. Let's go down to the river, to the Jordan River, where there are plenty of logs. There we can build a new place for us to meet. And this just makes me think of outgrowing your space. When you outgrow your space, you can't be afraid to going back to building. And if you think about the Jordan River, I believe that, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Jordan River is the river they had to cross to get into the promised land. This kind of makes me think like sometimes God is going to take you back to the spot where you crossed over, to kind of like to bring you back down to earth with him instead of thinking that you're the one who's doing this all. Because if we keep building without the presence of God, aka in this story, Elisha, because they took him with them. And I think that's the key thing. It's like God can bring us to this place. Oh my gosh. You know what? I'm in this spot right now. You know, God can bring us to this place where we've been preaching and sharing his word, or just wanting to share it with, you know, our family and our friends, or we share it online or whatever it is, or we're just believing it, you know, wholeheartedly. And we can tell people about God, and sometimes we end up leaving God behind because we can easily outgrow our space. You know, it's like at this one point we were new believers and we believed in God wholeheartedly. And here it is, we're like, oh, and I see God's purpose for my life and I'm going to do this for the Lord. And you take off running, forgetting to take God with you. You forget to take Elisha with you. Or maybe at some point you were walking with him, but the dream that and the purpose he's placed in you has gotten so big that you forgot to keep coming back to him. You forgot to keep coming back to the Jordan River. You forgot to keep coming back to that place where you first crossed over, so you can remember like what that felt like. You can remember what it felt to just spend time with him, to be with him, for him to walk with you. Like, think about it. A lot of times we take off, and I think we see that in today's society when you look at big churches. And I have nothing against big churches whatsoever. There are some pastors that are just doing awesome. They're not trying to take it all themselves. They're spreading it, and they're making new campuses and having new leaders lead other people instead of having a gigantic, massive church. This is reminding us that, you know what? Yes, we're going to keep growing. And don't doubt that, because we are going to outgrow our space. When we're seeking God, we're going to outgrow our space. We're not going to stay in the same spot, but we do need to remember to come back to where we met God, where we crossed over. And I can say that particularly in my life, where, you know, I when I finally started to see God in my life, and I wanted to like do all these things for God. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to bring people to God because, oh my gosh, I see the world is falling apart and I see people sinning and too many people are going to go to hell. La, 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 la. You know, like seeing the quote unquote, seeing the big picture. And for me, that's what it placed the fear in me to realize that there was a God when the way he went about showing me. And I took off without him at some point. I tried to keep going without him. I stopped reading my Bible as much. I stopped praying as much. I started worrying more about the situation. And when stuff starts coming at you, you're just like in fear mode. Like, oh my God, how can I hurry and get out of the situation? This is a good picture of how we need to remember to take God with us no matter where we're going. If we outgrown our space, if we have to rebuild, if we have to start from scratch, don't forget to take God with you. And then, of course, like I said, don't be afraid to build. I feel like we're in this season where God is calling us to build right now. And the question is, what has God called you to build? And if he's called you to build something, that means he's already made the provisions for it. So trust him in it. Keep talking to him about it. Keep asking him, hey, how should I do this? Am I doing this right? Please give me the wisdom to do this. Please show me how to do this part. Like every step of the way, ask him how to help you do it. Because if he's placed that idea for you to build something for him, that means he already knows that you finished it. So now the question is, how do we go about finishing it and asking for his helping hand in it? So when things like this happen, oh, sir, it was a borrowed axe. Because you know what? You're going to have to use everything that's around you. You're going to have to ask the people around you to help you. You're going to have to, whatever it is you're going to do to build this, God's going to make a way and he's going to send people. But when things like this happen, when the accidents happen, you have got to be ready to call to God and tell him, look, God, this is happening. I need your help. Things are falling apart. Where did it fall? Things are falling apart. Help me, God. Help me in this specific area. Like, you said you want me to do this? Provide the money to do this. You say you want me to do this? Open the doors and make it happen. Lord, you say you want to do this? Give me the wisdom. Show me how to do this because I don't know how to do it. So a year ago, it said, oh, sir, he cried. It was a borrowed axe. Where did it fall? The man of God asked. When he showed him the place. And that's why I said, point it out. Be exact. Point it out. Point out the trouble areas to God that you're experiencing in those places. Don't just try to take it on your own. Don't just try to keep walking. Oh, God gave me it. So you just keep walking by yourself and trying to complete everything on your own instead of asking him every step of the way to provide a means, to open the doors, to bless it, to make it successful, to have more people purchase whatever it is you're creating. Like whatever it is, like ask him specifically in those areas. And then Elisha cut a stick and threw it into the water at that spot. Then the axe head floated to the surface. Grab it, Elisha said, and the man reached out and grabbed it. The last part on here is you got to be ready. Because stuff is going to happen. Stuff is not going to happen according to the way you saw it happening. Oh, this is going to fall in place perfectly because God said he wanted me to do this. So this is going to just fall in place and I'm not going to have to do nothing for it. No, you're going to have to be willing to jump in that water and grab it. When God says to grab it, you're going to have to be in the position where you're ready to grab it. So the question I have for you today, well, a couple of questions, is are you walking with God in whatever it is he asks you to build? And are you prepared? And are you ready to grab it? And maybe that'd be the message for today. Are you ready to grab it? And but this is serious. This is not a joke. And I'm saying this from where I'm at because I feel like God's been calling me to build stuff since the beginning of the year, and I cannot do this without him. Here it is. I did one part and I'm like, okay, now what's next? And I'm having to do this next step. And he's literally like leading people to say the same thing to me and confirm, okay, that's what I need to be doing. So now I got to be willing to grab it and go for it. This is the time. This is the opportunity. Grab it and go for it. So anyway, that is it for today's message. I hope that whoever it's for, that it touches you and you do something about it. You speak to God about it. You talk to him, let him lead you in it. Don't try to figure this whole thing out by yourself. It was never designed that way. We are supposed to walk with him and talk with him. Think about the beginning. Think about the beginning when you think of Adam and Eve. They were designed to walk with him daily. Stop trying to figure this out on your own. Just ask him. He says we have not because we ask not. Anyway, thank y'all so much for listening. And until next time, I'll talk to y'all then. Bye.